Wings of Wisdom listening audience and Virginia's virtual viewing audience. We have Mr. Leroy McClure once again back on Wings of Wisdom. And he is the founder and CEO of AAA Educational Services. And we've been diving deep on the AAAs. We first dove deep on the first A, which was attitude. And when we dove deep on attitude, we know that 10% in life is what happens to you, and the other 90% is how you respond. And then we tackled last week academics. And we know that in academics, everybody have a different learning style. And Matthew 7:7 dives deep on that. Ask, seek, and knock. And asking is the auditory way of learning. And seeking is the visual way of learning. And knocking is hands-on, the kinesthetic way of learning. And today we are going to dive deep on athletics. I know some of you know that Tiger Woods' father wrote a book on how to train a tiger, but you may not know that Leroy McClure wrote a book on the shot doctor, and actually it's how to coach a son. Mr. King McClure learned the principles and moved from just playing the game to calling the game. So he mastered the principles in the shot doctor. I want Mr. Leroy McClure to give our virtual viewers who are new a brief bio, and then we're going to dive deep on the third A, which is athletics. So Mr. McClure, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Virginia. You know, athletics is something that I've always been a part of. I played basketball all the way through school and went to college on a basketball scholarship. And I was one of those that could shoot the basketball. I didn't have all of that athleticism. You know, they used to call me, I jumped like a white boy. What that means is I couldn't jump, but I could shoot it. I could shoot it. And so even up until the age of 60, I could outshoot anybody that I got on the court with. That was up to about 3 years ago.
Wow. So the shot doctor. I know that your son learned these principles, and I know that King McClure accepted the offer from Baylor, but he had over 100 scholarships when he got out of high school, and that was because of you train up a child in the way he should go. That's what, Wings of Wisdom is built on biblical principles, and Proverbs 22:6 tells us to train up a child in a way that he should go, and when he grows old, he will not depart from it. So there's principles spiritually, practical, and you had that relationship with your son. So give us a little back history on, accepting that scholarship, and then we're going to move into those obstacles and challenges he had to overcome.
Well, Virginia, it started when King was 2 years old. I would come home from work, and he would meet me at the door, and he would say, ball, ball, ball. And I did not want to teach him how to play basketball because I played. But my wife said, Lee, he wants to play ball, so teach him. So since she encouraged me to teach him, it was on. So I decided to get the ball, put a little goal on the back of a door, and every time he makes it, it would ring. There'd be a ding. And he did that all the time. So once he got up to about 5 or 6 years old, I enrolled him on a basketball team, and they didn't have any coaches. So they asked me if I could coach. So I coached the team. And King became real good. I mean, real good. And I kept pouring my time into training him, teaching him the little things. And it got to the point wherever he played, he was by far the best player. And then we started playing them up with kids that were 3, 4, 5 years older than him. And he was doing well with them, beating them, outplaying them. So he got to the point where he was on AAU team. We traveled all over the country, from California to Florida. And then it got into high school, and in the 8th grade, every school in the country was after him. And I took his phone from him because they were calling him on a regular basis. And so they had to come through me before they could get to him. And so by the 11th grade, he decided that he would go to Baylor. And the reason he went to Baylor because it was a Christian school, and it was less than an hour and a half from our home. And I could see every ball game that he played in.
Wow, you talking about hands-on. That's the biblical principle. You're talking about hands-on from 2, and you spotted it. Actually, your wife actually viewed it first, but then you could see the development. Was that the inspiration behind your book, The Shot Doctor, Nothing But Net?
Yes, it was. When King was in a junior in high school, he wanted to pass the ball to everybody. And I said, King, in order for us to win, you must shoot the ball. And when you shoot the ball, I want you to shoot many times, not just 3 or 4 times a game. And so he went from shooting the ball 12 times a game, averaging 22 points a game, to 16 times shots a game, averaging 32 points a game. And twice he scored over 50 points and shot less than 20 shots. And so we started teaching him, let's not just shoot the ball and score. Let's hit nothing but net. Because see, the basketball rim is big enough for 2 basketballs to go into it. So you can score, the ball can go into the rim, and your shot can still be off. However, if you hit nothing but net, that's like making 100 on the test. And so I focus on showing him how to shoot free throws. Let's hit nothing but net. If we hit the rim, we don't count it. And in order to do that, you have to use the 4 components of shooting, and we call it the NBA follow through. In 90%, your elbow should be 90%. Shouldn't be like this. It should be a 90 degree. And then B, back spin on the ball. And then A, get it up, arch, get it up high, real high, and then follow through. And once you hit nothing but net, you get to feeling good. Then you start focusing on nothing but net. And that's how he scored 50 points a couple times, just by hitting nothing but net. And if you're off, the ball goes in anyway, because you're focusing on getting 100%. It's just like when you're taking a test. If you study enough to make 100, and if you happen to miss a couple, so what? You get a 94 or 92, you still get an A.
Wow.
And so that's the way we train him. Nothing but net. And when you hit nothing but net, it's easy for you to get in what we call the zone. The zone. The zone is when you just throw the ball up and it goes in regardless. That's when, it's one of those things where you have to do a lot of practicing, but you practice that way. You do not accept the ball is just going in. You don't count it unless it hit nothing but net. And when I train him, I decided other kids needs to know this too. And so that's after his last game in high school. They did lose his last game. He scored 32 points. And I was down a little because we were getting ready to go to state. So I had a whole week. And I said, baby, what I'm going to do? Kenny not playing basketball this week. We need to go to the state tournament and watch these other people play basketball. I said, I'm going to write a book. And so I took that time and wrote the book on The Shot Doctor, Nothing But Net.
Wow, that's powerful. They say your network is your net worth. So King McClure took that to heart. His network has accelerated because he learned the principles of the foundation that you put in the blueprint in the shot doctor. But tell me, when he actually got in, he had a heart threatening disease. Well, not a disease, but a dilemma that you had to take hold of that. So how did you shift from that celebration into the obstacle that you had to tackle?
It was challenging, but praise God, He was there with us. You know, that summer, King went enrolled at Baylor the summer of 2015. And a week after they start practicing, I received a call from the athletic director saying he needs to talk to me about my son. And he has a heart issue. Now we didn't know anything about him having a heart issue. This boy been playing ball since he was 2, and now he goes to college. And then they're gonna tell us he got a heart issue. They said well his heart was bigger than normal, so they have to get some cardiologists from Seattle to look at it, Mayo Clinic to look at it to confirm the fact that he had a heart disease, and it's called HCM, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. And there's been many basketball players that die on the basketball court for having this disease. It is a disease.
Oh,
So and coach well Baylor said, listen, uh, he cannot play unless we have surgery, unless he has surgery. Now, he didn't need surgery just to live. He needed surgery just to play the game of basketball. So we went to the Mayo Clinic and they implanted a cardio defibrillator right next to his heart so that if he had a heart attack, it was shocking and bringing him back to life. So even today, he inside of him he has a ICD, implantable cardio defibrillator, and it monitors his heart, and and we have an instrument, a monitor that tells us every time his heart is not uh, beating correctly, and for 8 years it hasn't missed a beat,
wow.
and because of that, Virginia. Now he did go back and play ball. He played ball his whole freshman year, sophomore year, junior, and senior at Baylor, and did well. But it kept him from playing professional basketball. And he has quite a few friends that's playing pro basketball. And but ESPN did a story on him about his heart, and they asked him what does he like to do during his spare time. He said, "I like to do what you're doing. I like to interview people." So they gave him the microphone and asked him to do it. And he interviewed them. And they could not believe how well he was, how good he did the interview. And so they offered him a job the next month later. And so he's been with ESPN since 2019. He was the youngest uh, Brock sportscaster for ESPN at the age of 23. He's now 27, about to be 28. And he's getting better every year. He's getting better. We watch him every time he's on TV. We're watching him, and he loves it. He started an organization called King's Heart Foundation, a nonprofit 501c3. He just started that, and he's doing pretty good.
Wow, that's amazing. So, what lessons can these young athletes learn about, life after sports? Because they think it's over when it ends, but King was able to take the game beyond the playing field, the game of life.
Well, it's not only the kids, but the parents. They have to recognize you need to bring your child up in a balanced way. That's why I focus so much on the 3 A's: attitude, academics, and athletic. King had scholarship offers also to go to Stanford and Harvard academics. So he wasn't just outstanding on the basketball court, but academically, he was very solid. And with reference to leading his team, King led his team in prayer on a regular basis. So it's one of those things that you don't know what the call of your life is going to be like, but you need to be prepared. You need to be ready for life after the basketball stops dribbling or after the basketball goes flat. You need to be prepared for life. We used to do interviewing session with King when he was in the 4th, 5th, 6th grade. We put a microphone in front of him and interviewed him and made certain that he would speak properly and that people could tell this young man was not just an athlete.
Wow. Wings of Wisdom virtual viewing audience is built on Wings of Wisdom is built on biblical principles. And in Proverbs 4:7, it tells us about knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. And knowledge actually is the information, and the understanding is the comprehension, and then the wisdom is the application. So King was able to get the information, he was able to understand, comprehend it, and also he was able to actually execute the plan. So it's powerful when you say have a balanced life, mind, body, soul, spirit, because we do focus on one thing, the outer man, but it is the inner man, and that's where God looks at the heart. And if you have to transition, the lesson to be learned is that balanced life and able to navigate through it so that you can soar on your own wings of wisdom. So I want you to drop a golden nugget, because I look at King McClure as a heart of a champion. Truly, he has a heart of a champion. And he defied the odds. He went beyond the game and able to call the game. He was courageous. And he was actually like a comeback, set up for a comeback. And he also has a legacy for the McClure family, for loved ones, and it all started from the shot doctor. He took it to heart. The blueprint, the principles are there. So for those families who are trying to raise a king or raise a queen, I know your baby girl name is Princess. If they're raising princesses and queens, how can they, steer them in that right direction?
We need to help our children understand that life or the race is not necessarily given to the swift nor the strong, but the one that perseveres, the one that doesn't quit. And I think about my life. I played basketball. I'm an all-state basketball player. I've won state championships. King has won state championships. I didn't make it to the pros because I wasn't good enough. King didn't make it to the pros because of a heart disease. But by us teaching him those ethics, great, strong work ethics, no matter what life brings you, you can turn lemon into lemonade if you have those strong work ethics and never accept excuses. Laziness pays off now, but hard work pays off for the future.
Wow, that is powerful. Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, now is the time to share on your electronic toys. I am so happy you were able to lean in, Virginia's virtual viewers. Mr. Leroy McClure, the founder and CEO of AAA Educational Services. And you have Focus Academy also, right?
Well, I was the founder of Focus Learning Academy and AAA Academy, and I was the CEO of Focus Learning Academy and AAA Academy. But in 2017, I closed both of those. Now I'm just the CEO of another company, which is AAA Educational Services. So I'm no longer in the school business. I help other students right now.
I love it. I love it. If you found this information valuable, share the broadcast. And we are so grateful that you were able to lean in. We're grateful for you, Mr. McClure, for diving deep on the AAA's attitude, which determines your altitude, and also academics, and most of all, athletics. And we are grateful once again. We will summarize all of this on next week. So we're looking forward to highlighting you, spotlighting you, and featuring you once again on Wings of Wisdom to summarize all of this. Virginia's Virtual Viewers, lean in, listen, and learn. We're so grateful for you. Have a wonderful day.